Welcome to the Religiously Offensive Podcast.
Ball obsession. Because I'm kind of working through a little knee injury.
I just hit record. Can you just say that again?
Yeah.
So let's talk.
Welcome back to the pod.
Squad pod.
All boys pod. Let's get it.
Yeah, welcome back. I guess before we start,
We do miss Gabby though.
make sure to like and subscribe if you like what we're talking about or what we're doing. Even if you don't like everything we talk about, because there's really zero chance of you liking everything we talk about, because we go on tangents. That's what half of this is. So anyway.
That was a tangent.
I was about to
Still
say. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Exhibit A.
Love that.
So pickleball.
Yeah. So I have developed somewhat of a knee injury over the last couple weeks, unfortunate, from disc golf. No regrets.
Weird.
Ultimately.
You're the one bringing up pickleball because you haven't played with us yet.
Oh, I know.
He would love it.
I have yet to play the sport, but it is kind of swept over
It's the greatest thing.
the office.
It is the ultimate hobby.
And 100% came from Luke.
Yeah, we're in it.
Yeah.
We're shoulders deep.
I think this was like a basically a 12-month-long con job to get everyone on the.
Nobody
It was a slow
bought in.
turn. You're literally turning a cruise ship, and you're just like, just wait till they
Just
taste the glories of pickleball.
I literally remember the first day we played. After the first game, Nate's on his phone. Net, paddle, bag.
Yeah.
no, I'm getting.
Literally
Literally
off
got
to the
everything.
side.
I'm getting texts in the group chat from Nate, and Nate never texts in the group chat. It's just like pickleball 7 a.m.
Yeah.
It's like there's something about this pickleball
telling
that
you.
I'm excited to delve into.
something
but I
special.
haven't. So yeah, so
It's a game for the unathletic. What can I say?
The unathletic and the athletic alike.
I mean, you've gotten off the ground pretty good when you see an opportunity for a spike.
he's going
He's
back
got
to
Michael Jordan's
Yeah.
first.
senior year volleyball. He's just like bunnies.
It is the ultimate sport for anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
Is it because it like equalizes the playing field largely?
I mean,
Where-
athleticism is a factor, but it's not the dominating factor.
Right, like if you go out and play basketball.
Well, it's like
Yeah, totally.
you're-
basketball.
You you're not going to get a single point.
You don't see dudes in their 70s playing basketball on the regular. Yeah,
Hey, shout out Uncle Bill still plays.
but
He's
they
gotta be close.
still do.
He's got a
so-
jumper.
Yeah,
He's got a squad at the Y.
because racquetball's like that too, where you could just play smart and not run around all over the place like I do.
Yeah, but basketball is such a big court unless you're playing half court.
No, I said,
mean, there's no way you-
racquetball.
Yeah, you can't do that in basketball.
I was saying,
Oh,
yeah,
I was still
basketball.
thinking basketball, yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Stand
changed the
still, you
subject.
die.
I went like this. I would change the subject so hard.
Tangent.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's what we do. It's all of what we do.
We should record a pickle session. Give the people what they want.
Pickleball.
Set up a couple cameras.
Specified pickleball.
How many GoPros you got?
What
Let's
did I
strap
say?
a couple of those to
Pickle
like
session.
our
Pickle
chest.
session.
Yeah, pickleball.
This is like,
I'll
just
come
let your
referee.
imagination run
I
wild.
can
need you
referee
out
and
there. We need
just
him
strap a
out there.
GoPro to my head, and we can just
Do you even know the rules? Sorry,
Dude,
guys.
I'll-
Our ref doesn't know the rules.
30 minutes on YouTube. Good to go.
That's right.
It's a bit confusing at first, like the scoring, and you swap places when you score, and like there's some.
You better not touch that kitchen.
You better
It's up
I
for
don't know.
debate.
what
if
that
you
means.
can't hit the ball well in the kitchen.
That's correct.
Be established. But you can be in there.
No volleys
It's
allowed.
just dangerous.
Yeah. Is it worth the risk?
One would say yes. One
I
would
think
say
it's worth
no.
saying on the pod. JJ and I are 13-1 against
13-1.
Nate
bro.
and Kyle.
For no good reason. we cannot figure it
They
out.
can't put a game together.
We just can't finish.
Yeah.
Although that one really does irk me.
that second
It should
victory is
be
going to feel
14-0.
real good.
They got us first game the other day. It just drove me nuts.
Yeah.
I think I'm over it now, but it took me at least a calendar day.
24 hours?
Probably.
Yeah. Well,
All smiles on the outside, inside furious.
yeah. Well,
Just Mordor.
Just
I just imagine the,
Well, and more
the
funny
lava.
because we were up early and then they mounted a pretty legit
yeah.
attempt at a
it
comeback.
was like 10 and
9-3.
So you had no hope, and then you
we
saw
got
a sliver.
so much hope.
You're
We
just
were up
like
11-10.
lighting
we were up
into the
11-10.
tunnel.
Yeah.
And then they scored.
It's meant to
3 in a
be.
row.
Hate to see it. Oh, you'd love to see it.
13-1 though. I mean, they got a long journey to make that interesting.
That's fair.
Yeah, but we
We
did.
do. We're best of 27 right now.
Yeah.
We did not. Yeah, we didn't do ourselves any favors for sure.
I like our odds.
Yeah, yeah, it's good odds.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
And then JJ faked a kid needing an issue so they could leave. So we didn't get any more.
Well, you were up by 3. I mean, okay.
Classic.
Any
JJ.
more dubs.
The ultimate, yeah.
Sorry guys, I gotta go.
The ultimate wild card.
Yeah, right.
I gotta go now.
Oh boy.
great.
Boy, Justin had a new idea for a church matching app, didn't you?
I just thought it'd be hilarious if, because we do it anyways, but it's not just like formal. And the last, since pandemic, kind of delved into the online dating waters, which is an absolute dumpster fire. Like it's as bad as you would think it is.
I wouldn't know.
And honestly, I probably didn't provide a lot of quality, to that whole thing. I'll just be honest.
You poured fuel on the fire.
I probably contributed to the lesser, qualities of it.
They've thrown a Molotov or 2.
Who knows? I don't know. But it just would be hilarious if you're like new to a city and you get on this, like, we make a new dating app for churches, and every church like gets a profile, and you got like 5 pictures, a couple like prompts to answer, and you swipe one way or the other on a church. I don't know.
Is this for dating? Or is this for like selecting a church?
No, just to pick a church. Yeah, you want to just dive into. Because it's essentially like when you go on a Sunday morning, it's like, this is our pitch. Like, be a part of the fam. It's like our best, like, foot forward. We've provided coffee. We have greeters.
Everything that happened today was for you.
Yeah, exactly.
The guys in the parking lot, the greeters, the
The dude
coffee,
outside of the parking lot on the street waving at you.
the people here at 5 a.m.
Next to the guy going like this.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube,
Can
man.
you keep that going for like a minute straight?
Yeah. So
It'd be great for my body, I feel like.
for an app though, so people could swipe, right? And
Yeah,
they
you
could
just
swipe
kinda-
either way. But then
Just want to get
it
a lay
has
of the
to be a
land.
two-way thing, right? So
yeah, it has to
churches
be a
like
match.
pick who they want to come to their church.
You got to have your own profile.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
I
like
love that.
this is like, oh, this guy was a little squirrely. Like,
And then when you come to the door,
Gosh.
you got to have like confirmation on the phone.
This guy tithes in. He's in. Automatic
exactly.
acceptance.
Strong history of giving to churches. No questions asked.
We'll put up with crazy.
Yeah.
yeah, this guy has a weird eye, but I don't know. He gives money.
Let's see. That's funny.
Oh man, that's great. I
I
like
love that
idea,
wrinkle
too.
though. You got to have the back.
Yeah.
You got to have the church's ability to deny.
Yeah, why not?
Psych.
They do it all the time, just under the under the table. This is like, hey, we really just don't want you coming here anymore.
Yeah, it's just like, remember that one time you brought a binder of your own songs to worship practice? We're
Yeah,
I'm gonna kindly ask you to literally never come around ever again.
you can go home. That's funny. Hey, that's why there's all kinds of churches, right? Because there's some churches that'll accept some people.
That's probably the motto.
Yeah, and then that.
It really is. Yeah, it is funny, and this actually segues great into today's topic because it is so applicable about like just the comedic aspect of the relationship between a church goer or a seeker and the church itself. 'Cause it really is like a relationship where it's like, all right, we're gonna put our best foot forward, try to get you here. And once you're here, we're gonna do this little dance, see if like you could be a valuable member of our society, and then
You know what they should
you
do?
deal with the ramifications once
you're
it
just-
inevitably goes south.
Well, I feel like if at one point after you get people in the door, it's like you should have a guy that's like just undercover treating people like crap, right? People have that anyway, just naturally.
like undercover
there's
boss?
Guys, no. Like guys that are just like intentionally, just to like test them, just to like, are you here for the right reasons? Because I'm gonna try to drive you away so hard, and if you stay, then we know you're here for the right reasons.
Just immediately ask the new guy to help you change like the tire. Like
Yeah.
my car, I blew a tire on the way in. You got a minute? Could you help me? Like manual
Yeah.
labor right off the bat.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that that's hilarious. No, hey, I mean, you got to make sure your people that are coming to your church are serious, right? So, what is the topic today, Justin? I'll let you give that one up.
So I thought I have this thought all the time, right? Like our relationship with God and being created by God in his image, according to scripture, for a relationship. And all I know is my 32 years on this floating rock and the relationships that I've had with other people, right? And so one of my favorite things to experience with other people or people in a relationship is comedy, is humor, laughter. And then in the same sense, in a loving relationship, like it doesn't always have to look like this, but it's pretty common that when humans enter into like a committed type of relationship, whether it's intimate or just platonic friendship, there is this element of like, you can call it roasting each other, but it's like just kind of busting each other's chops. Like it's just like someone like roasts you and it's not your friend. You're just like, all right, enemy. But like it's a thing. It's almost like a rite of passage, you know, in relationships and friendships where we just, whether it's a prank or we just whatever, right? So it's just everyone at the same time, I feel like loves someone who's willing to be the butt of a joke. And then also most people are just like, there's nothing worse than someone who like can't take a joke or, you know, look at like,
Or doesn't get it. And sometimes
look
it's like not even their fault. It's just like, okay.
look,
They
and
didn't
this
laugh.
is probably
Just went
polarizing.
over their head.
It's probably polarizing, but like on a big national stage, look at like a Donald Trump type figure. Like if he could just take a joke and just be willing to be the butt of a joke, his whole like 4 years would have been so different.
Yeah.
Like he had to always be
Retaliate.
right. He could
He had to
never be the
retaliate.
butt of a joke. He always had to get the last word in. It's like, but a real friendship, like it's just, you just kind of bust each other's chops and stuff sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. So then you think about God and you're just like, you made us in your image. You created us. We have a massive propensity and just love for comedy, at least me personally. I prefer to laugh like over like fear. Like if I go to see a movie, I don't want to see a horror. I'd rather go see something funny or like action based. But
Yeah, horror movies are tough. For
when
me.
we approach God or when we think about a relationship with God, it's like a genuine like laughter is just not, or like a comedic type of relief
Haven't
within the
they-
relationship. It's just not a thing.
Isn't it
And
scientific too? That's like healing. I mean, it's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's really like does
the
well for
Bible-
your body.
Doesn't the Bible say that laughter is medicine for the soul?
Yeah.
I think, is that in Proverbs?
Yeah, I mean, but
Fact check.
that's that could also, if you wanted to directly correlate that to the soul, it's not necessarily physical. But I guess a lot of people relate the physical to the spiritual, and that like if your spiritual health can affect your physical body. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I get that.
And vice versa, probably.
Your physical body could affect. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's a two-way street, if you will. Yeah. So I don't know. Are you looking that up or something?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the Bible verse.
Yeah. I
The
guess.
classic Ecclesiastes.
What is that?
It's like the book in the Bible where it's like basically there's.
Well, I
a
know
season for
Ecclesiastes,
everything.
but I just what are you? Oh, okay.
Well, like, yeah, there's a season to dance. There's a season to whatever. It's just like, it's one of those things you read in the Bible that you're like, I can't believe this is in the Bible. Essentially, it's like, what's the point of anything? Like, it's pretty sobering when you read that book.
Was it Solomon? Did Solomon do Ecclesiastes?
Ooh, I don't know.
Do you have friends that laugh when they're uncomfortable?
Oh yeah,
And
I
it's
feel
like,
like most.
it's like
I
the
don't-
weirdest thing ever, and you're just like, okay,
You good?
yeah, you good, bro? No, but they had some stuff like they
Yeah,
had.
Proverbs 17:22. Sorry, not to
Oh, it's fine.
continue.
No, no, no.
Totally just
You go ahead.
Proverbs 17:22.
I interrupt you enough. I just did.
Actually, let me. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, Proverbs 17:22. A merry heart doeth good like medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. I don't know why he gave me the King James.
Yeah, that's super straightforward. Thank you. No, but what I was saying is that
Please interrupt us again when you find another
a
translation.
better translation.
Yes, they posted. I'm coming for some normal words.
Just go to Bible Gateway.
I had to find the verse first.
Out here, making things difficult.
But so like that Uvalde shooting, right? They released that security cam footage. And at one point there was like one of those dudes, he was sitting there like smiling in the hallway. Like as they were hearing gunshots and
The
whatever.
one dude went and got like hand sanitizer.
That's a little bizarre. But the guy was smiling, and I've seen other photos and videos of people reacting that way in like intense situations because it's like like for some people that's how
Like
they
a
deal.
defense thing?
That's how they deal with it. And people are all like upset at him. Oh, is he thinking this is funny? It's like no. It's like I mean I know people that like smile when they get mad, and it's just like it's weird, but yeah, it is what it. I don't know. I just thought I'd bring that up because I just thought it was interesting. 'Cause I know quite a few people like that. Did you find a better one?
Deflect.
Yeah, it's just like in an effort, it's like their natural defense or an effort to not actually confront or deal with an emotion. They just laugh, or smile.
Oh,
Yeah. You seen that?
yeah. I'm not going to say what I'm thinking, but I do know what you're talking about.
Is it about someone who
Well, it's more political. Yeah, it's not worth
political, huh?
not worth diving into those waters.
Wow, Justin.
Since when have you ever said
Justin,
when
with
have you
the
ever said it's not
self-control.
worth diving into those waters?
Good for you.
I'm practicing
you
self-restraint.
go. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm encouraged.
I'm not quite there, but I'm just kidding.
I'll give
okay.
you a little bit.
I was gonna
So-
say it 20 minutes later. I was thinking about it. I'm gonna say it.
I gotta let it out of principle now. I can't.
Okay.
Proverbs 17:22. This is the Passion Translation, which big fan of Passion Translation. It says, "A joyful, cheerful heart brings healing to both body and soul, but the one whose heart is crushed struggles with sickness and depression."
See, that's more direct. Yeah, I like that. That's true.
Right.
I mean,
That's what we were talking about. Physical.
that's
and
why
soulful.
there's a lot of people that like when they're depressed, they like just try to watch funny movies.
Or they just they try
I
to
mean, I'm
avoid
depressed
funny
every
movies.
I'm not gonna
Reverse engineer that.
I would
I'm screwed.
probably say that they don't.
I'm not gonna dive
They
into
just,
that.
they just like rest in there. I would say if you're depressed, you wouldn't want to watch something to make you joyful. You're probably like,
Okay, so you're going back to the like people who are depressed don't want to like hear about someone else's happiness kind of thing.
sure. I guess it could be either.
I guess if you're
I
watching
think it's-
stand up, it's always like you're not necessarily watching someone's happiness. You're watching someone else like roast everyone else.
Yeah, but
Like,
if you're
so that's-
actually depressed, you're not going to say, "Ooh, let me go laugh." You're depressed. You're probably going to sit in your own sulk in it. Like,
that's true.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Although I do think
Old
it'd be
Dave
great.
Chappelle always
You
is
could
good
bat it,
medicine.
but
Yeah,
Dude, I love Dave Chappelle.
he's
a
so good.
cheerful. What does it say? Read it again.
A joyful, cheerful heart brings healing to both body and soul. But the one whose heart is crushed struggles with sickness and depression. How crazy is that too? Because I mean, we've touched on this a little bit, but it's like it's very common knowledge that like I like that it distinguishes like the physical body from the spiritual like body as well. And it's very common and pretty much accepted in our culture now that like bad thoughts that lead to stress lead to sickness and disease. But no one wants to talk about how like the right kind of thoughts can lead to like an actual, like Bill Johnson talks about all the time, which also shout out Bill Johnson. His wife just passed from cancer and the dude preached like 2 days after, like Sunday morning, and just gave one of the most incredible like messages I've ever heard in my life.
That's cool.
Definitely I would recommend listening to that.
Wow.
But, we give so much energy and oxygen to the reality that like the wrong kind of thoughts make you sick. And no one is talking about like,
That's a good point.
so if the wrong thoughts make you sick and the right thoughts make you well, and then you look at scripture and it talks all about taking thoughts captive, about being transformed by the renewing of your mind. Like, it's like,
what if
it's
you flip
almost
that
like
positively?
yeah, if you really apply this stuff, like is
like that.
sickness, because I mean it's hard to read the scriptures and say that like sickness was ever God's plan for anyone.
Right.
So it's like somewhere we missed the mark and we saw things differently in certain people, and it's probably worth doing a whole podcast on. But like the reality of like what happens when a spiritual leader passes from cancer, where a lot of people like we can't say for sure, but it's like stress is like massive underlying cause of a lot of these things. And it's like there's a lot of stress that comes with leading anything.
Right.
But it's like as a spiritual leader, it's almost like it's heartbreaking. Like you
you
don't
ever
even know
thought-
what to do.
Like humans, when are you going to active listen, or you already got something to say? We could switch.
Boom.
We could switch.
It's fine.
Because I was trying to active listen, but I'm like, ooh, I got something.
Luke's got something.
So Luke already admitted to not active listening.
We're all victims of
He's
it.
so dedicated
pleading-
to not
I'm pleading
listening
the
right
fifth.
now.
And then I heard you say something like, ooh, let's check this.
I agree, Justin. That's all I was going to say. That was a fantastic point.
I was going to say,
Fantastic.
so like part of the whole we're made in the image of God is, maybe some people don't know this, but like there's 3 levels to the human: body, mind, and soul, which I guess correlate to like the 3, I don't know if levels is the right term,
I
but
thought soul and mind were, isn't it body, soul, spirit?
yeah, that's right.
Mind and soul are.
Off to a solid start,
Right.
Luke.
No. No, it's body, mind, and soul, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Where's the spirit then?
Fact check.
Because I always
Body-
learned that like you are a spirit, you
You're
have a
throwing me
soul,
off.
and you live in a body. And that we would always say that
What's the difference between
soul
your spirit
is
and
like
your-
mind, will, and emotions.
Oh, okay, that might be right.
So body, mind, and spirit is what comes up on Google.
Yeah. What did I say?
Body, mind, and soul, I think. Is that what you said? Soul.
Well,
Spirit.
mind and soul. I guess mind and soul. I always were synonymous.
Body, mind, and soul. Body, mind, and spirit. So soul is different from spirit?
Mind, will, and emotions make up your
Soul,
right. That's right.
and then you are a spirit.
Right.
We are a spiritual being having a physical experience. Where most
That's
of us
right,
think
that's
we're
right, that's right.
physical beings trying to have spiritual experiences. We are spiritual beings having a temporary physical experience.
So
All right, I'm starting to check out. Can you
my
continue?
point with that
Continue.
is with the even the scripture that we pulled up, like it's all interconnected, right? It's similar to the Trinity, like God the Son and the Holy Spirit, right? So there's 3 levels to us, 3 levels to God, made in the image of God, whatever. So scriptures like that tie in the joyfulness affects your body and your soul.
Yeah.
And how do you do that with the training of your mind, right? Like that's the key to figuring out. I think the one where you hold thoughts captive, I like what you said. Like normally when that gets taught, like you think all the bad thoughts I get, I have to hold captive. But what would happen if you had good thoughts and you hold those captive and made those obedient?
Sure.
Well, how would it affect your soul and your body
That's
then?
got the body tingles. Yeah.
Right.
like I
So
said,
it's
man.
like, I guess the understanding that there's 3 levels to who we are as human beings, and what you do affects all 3 levels, whether you realize it or not. That's kind of my
100%.
thought.
Yeah, and I like that. And what thing I was thinking though is as it comes to just joy, like because you talk about joy, the verses about joy. Is there a difference between because we always see like the old church lady who's just like grown up in the church, she lives her blissful life, just joyful, almost irritatingly so, right?
Right.
And so then
Grandma Mary. Yeah, that woman.
but that I wouldn't say that's the same joy that I experience when I'm laughing or whatever, hanging out. Like I feel like that's a different joy. Like I'm just like,
well, that joy feels to me like it's been like bought and paid for through like years of just like
Well, answer this. What's
Submission.
the difference? What's the difference between joy and just happiness?
I think happiness
Any
is
takers?
a surface level emotion. Like
I think we're all just
this
gonna-
happens to me. My natural reaction is happiness. I think joy is a deep choice and conviction to say, regardless of what
Right.
I see with my eyes, like I will choose to focus on like gratitude.
So this is focused on joy though, and we could almost assume laughter is more related to happiness.
Sure. I would agree to that.
So, but
Which is
laughter,
fleeting.
sure, but I think laughter is important.
But I think
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry. Yeah,
I think you're right.
were you gonna say something?
yeah, no.
You
It
show
was
him
the
a
same
strain
thing.
again.
Same thing. Same.
Self-control.
Same, but different, but same.
Right.
Okay,
Different
I
translation.
don't know what that is, but
Technically a movie reference.
pulled a hair out of my arm. That sucks because it hurts. So yeah, I mean,
Do you have one shaved arm and one not shaved?
one's shaved. Yeah, I try to shave the one with the tattoo. I don't know.
Right.
People are weird about it. Some people do it. Some people don't
I do it.
shave
Do
where
you,
the tattoo is.
do you lube the arm up though to make the the
sometimes.
tattoos pop?
Yeah,
when
not
you go
every
out?
day.
If you're going
Not
out for
every
like
day.
date night, and
Yeah,
you're
about
just
as
like,
often as I wear pants, I'll
gonna
do
rub
that.
some oil.
It's exactly
No, it's
right.
not that.
So
I
the-
have this black.
So it pops a little
It's
more.
like
Say
Black
it.
Rabbit,
Mad Rabbit.
Mad Rabbit.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Shout out.
But it, like,
Mad
it just
Rabbit
makes the tats
tattoo
pop.
balm.
Yeah.
It's mostly coconut oil, but it's just
figured.
like, yeah,
It's
it really
secret
it makes them
ingredients.
pop. And if you have your arm shaved, like, yeah, it's nice. It makes it look like super fresh.
If you take a before and after pic, it's pretty hype.
Yeah, I did that just to see
Does
because
it
I was
crank
like,
you up on
does
the
this stuff
scale?
really work?
Does it
what
turn
am I
like
paying
a
for?
7 into a 9?
It does.
At least that. Yeah. Maybe a 6 into a 9. Giggity.
Not touching that.
I did. It's fine. But this whole conversation kind of came up just because, like, Justin and I were talking, and it's like at
That's
church.
dangerous. I'm kidding.
It is. I mean, it is. Yeah, this is half of the deranged stuff that we bring up. Like, this is a result of him.
Justin and I were
conversations.
talking. I'm like, oh boy,
Here we go.
I love
Good
it.
Lord gave me a good brain.
Good Lord, gave me a good brain. No, we were talking about how, like, growing up in church, especially, like, people are so uptight, and it's just like the only thing that they would laugh about are like corny jokes and like just things that just are seemingly stupid.
I got you. What car did the disciples drive?
Oh no. What?
Sounds like a dad joke.
It says they were all in one accord, bruh. Honda's baby for life. Japanese got it.
Pastor dad joke.
Sorry.
I mean,
Those are acceptable jokes.
I'm totally stealing that. That's great.
yeah, someone find an edgy. Does anyone heard like an edgy joke that people are nervous to laugh at? Those are the ones I want to talk
John
about.
Chris has got to have
That's where
some
JJ
quality
that's where JJ
content
lives.
about
John Christ, yeah.
pushing the
John
envelope,
Love, John Christ,
the spiritual envelope.
Yeah.
He's funnier than I thought he was.
Well, no, because
I
you
wrote
have
him
to
off.
catch him. You got to catch him in like his stand up when he's not like on the camera, like necessarily. Like you got to like, because I showed you that clip about him and the adoptive moms
That
or
was
whatever.
so funny.
It was so funny. Yeah.
Play the clip.
Huh?
Can we play the clip?
I wish we could.
I don't.
It's probably too
So
long.
funny. There's like these 4 moms that are there at his show, and they all have adopted children, and somehow got connected.
He
through
called it an adopted children's small group.
So it's like somehow the moms found each other, and they all have adopted kids. So that comes with unique probably challenges.
Like
So
you just have to
you find
play
comfort in community,
Right.
And then all of them were like, one was like China, one was like
He asked them,
Cambodia,
"Where
the
are
other
your
one was
kids from?"
China, and then one was like Kansas.
Yeah.
And he was literally and then he just roasts the mom that had a kid from Kansas, and then he was just like, who organized this trip? And it was of course like the Kansas mom. And so he just laid into her.
It's like,
'cause
you
he
know,
was
they
just
talk
like-
about when you're not around.
basically
Oh,
just
Kansas
like-
wants to hang out again.
Yeah. You know they talk trash about you when you're not here. Yeah. It was so funny.
Oh, dumb.
But I got mad respect for crowd work like
It
that.
was funny though because it was like Kansas was the last one, so he's like China, whatever it was, Thailand, China. Where are you? Kansas, and he lost it.
Just like, can you even do that?
Yeah.
Like, that ain't right.
Yeah, it's just like, I know what you guys are. No, it's not the same. They think he's your kid. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. It's
yeah,
like, and he was like,
he's funny.
he was like, Kansas was in the middle, I think. And then the first lady he
might have
talked to was
started
Kansas.
with Kansas.
Started with Kansas because after that, he was like, or where's your kid from China? It's like, no, that's how you do it.
It's so impressive because none of that was a part of his plan.
No, I mean,
Like,
yeah,
you just
because
go.
I saw him on a K-Love cruise, and he's just, his stand-up is mad good. Like, I think he tones it down for social media. Like, I feel like he just does kind of these corny skits, and some of them are funny, but like he does some of these other things, but then his stand-up is, I love it. I'd love to see him if he was in town.
Bro, you got some street cred.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
flash that in your wallet. I've been on a K-Love cruise.
Well,
Shout out Corey.
Most of you don't
like
even know
4
what
of
that
them.
is.
K-Love cruise.
That's for the
That's
inner circle.
Oh no, all the
It's
Christians.
like the Illuminati of Christians.
That's where the Christians go to drink. That's where all the good Christians go to have some alcohol, is on the K-Love cruise.
JJ's like a frequent flyer over there.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
We 3 down.
All those tattoos.
I went Jesus Free Cruise was the first
triangles
one.
over there.
DC Talk Cruise was the first one I did. Yeah, that was great. That's the one I paid for.
Okay, so should I ask the question? What's a K-Love cruise?
K-Love is like this national, like, syndicated radio station that is just still around somehow, that basically is just Christian radio. So they have a lot of affiliates and stuff.
Like Z88.
Yeah, they play a lot of the uplifting Christian popular music.
A lot of Jars of Clay.
So whoever
That's-
went on that
Charles
cruise
Clay has
was
been
invited.
out
lot
of
of
the
Michael W.
conversation for a
Smith.
while. Michael W.'s still around. Yeah.
A lot of Crowder. Casting
some of
crowns.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Newsboys
and then
did
they
a
have,
good
like,
job
a cruise.
reinventing themselves.
yeah, they did.
So
but then all their
how did
stuff
you
started
get
sounding the same.
How'd you get the invite? Is this
Oh,
invite?
I
only?
was helping out with the cruise.
Anybody can pay to go.
Yeah,
okay.
I was volunteering. Yeah, just to help out with it.
Sweet.
But yeah, I mean, it's they're good. It's just like it's funny because it's just like everyone over there is like getting hammered on the beach, and I mean like granted, probably not like a carnival cruise, but you know what I mean. Like people are just slinging them back. And it's just like cool because you're on a cruise. It's like what you do, right?
Even like the artists, or just are you talking about all the?
The artists for sure. Yeah, they would have their little their entourages and stuff, and yeah, they'd just be ordering drinks all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because growing up, dude.
No cell phones allowed. We'll collect all of those.
Yeah, right.
Put them in a basket.
Nobody.
Let's go.
That's hilarious. Yeah, but no, because like when I was growing up, man, I'd heard something like, because I thought alcohol was so bad, right? This goes back to that conversation we've already had, but I just thought it was such a bad thing, right? Growing up, and there's this perception that's kind of like, pounded into your head. And then I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Michael Tate, who's the singer. He was in DC Talk, singer for the Newsboys now. But I was just like, yeah, someone told me that they had seen him walk out of a gas station with like, 6-pack. And I was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. This is like destroys my.
Oh, that hit you bad
It hit me.
in a bad way.
That's when I was young, yeah. Because I was just told that it was bad, right?
Yeah,
and so
your
I was just
hero
like,
is now
you're
the
kidding
fraud,
me, right?
now.
Like, yeah. So it's just, and I don't believe that anymore, obviously. But I just remember just having that. It's just I've experienced that visceral reaction that a lot of people grow into adulthood and still have.
right about
just-
things that aren't worth.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've delved. I was trying to find another word, but delved.
I like
it's
that.
really the only word. Just like how
we've divin.
if
How do
you
you spell that?
because I was like dove. I guess we've dove.
I like
Delved.
delved.
We've dove and I don't know.
Dove.
We've divvied.
Just past.
No, that's not it.
We got
Delved. Go with it.
Yeah. So,
Own it.
because what you're saying, like essentially, it's like most people, not most, but some certain people will just adopt the conscience of the people that raised them, and that's just how they see the world.
Yeah.
So it's no shock that you see people that have certain really strong opinions about certain things, and they could be things that they don't really even associate with or never have associated with.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just personality types. Maybe there's people who are good with that, and and it's probably, I don't know. I'm sure there's pros and cons to both sides, but
Well, the problem
it's
is
like when
there's
someone
many
tells
sides.
you, right? It's like someone's like, "Don't touch the stove; it's hot."
Right.
So like certain people are just like, "Cool, like I don't want to get burned."
Right.
Like regardless of whether the stove is actually hot, it's just not worth touching
Well,
it.
and the other
I
the other
didn't get
group
those.
is there's some people who like have super painful experiences from touching the stove.
Right.
Right. So they're, in other words, super painful experiences because of alcohol. So it's like they have probably
Like
proper
like personally, or they were
Right.
around it.
both.
Sure.
Right. Like there's
Sure.
there's so many different groups of people who. There are people who just grow up thinking it's bad, it's bad, it's bad with no context, and they just were raised and they just took on that belief. Then there's other people who think it should be avoided because their parent
Right.
died
'cause,
from alcohol
That's
or-
how I think about it.
right.
It's like,
and then there's other people who use it fine, and there's other people who should avoid it because they have it's way more complex. I saw a message the other day about how if people just had a better understanding of there's way more to the story than what you think you know. You just don't know. So it's like a sense of empathy for somebody can really help you like connect with people.
right.
Why do you think it's bad? Or like what's your
Well,
experience with it?
Dude, I keep going back to this. It's just so many things you can put into the bucket of this thing makes sense as a servant, but not as a master.
Right.
So it's like all these things, like alcohol can be a fantastic servant,
Sure.
terrible master.
100%.
So many things. Food. I mean, you could do that with anything.
I'm writing that down.
And it's just, if you don't have the ability to have a relationship with that thing in a healthy way, then yeah, I mean, you should probably avoid it.
Yeah. I'm
love
sorry.
that.
I totally I spaced out on some of that.
I love that.
I admit.
Perfect moment for a pivot.
I admit. I'm sorry. Because I'm just thinking, how edgy do you want to get here?
That wasn't very active
Actively
listening.
trying to round the corner, and he's just like, let's make this thing short.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. But the thing is, like, so I guess, when we talk about the whole idea of like, when is it appropriate, when's it not appropriate, or like jokes, like people get nervous when you talk, like when you say jokes about whatever. All pastors typically make jokes about themselves to make people laugh. Rarely is it anything like that could even be remotely interpreted as sacrilegious, which really, like, I don't even know. Let's
They play it pretty safe.
look
for
up
the
what
most part.
sacrilegious means. Meaning, okay, here we'll go. Involving or committing sacrilege. Wow, that's thank you for
Can
that.
you use it in a sentence, please?
Dictionary.com.
Is that Webster's fault?
Yeah.
Because that's the worst. That happens too
Committing,
often.
hold on. Committing or characterized by sacrilege. Okay, hold on. It's having or showing a lack of proper respect for a sacred person, place, or object. So that's super gray area, right? Because like it's like God created us with a sense of humor, right? And we think about these things. We joke about stuff. It's clearly a joke, right? But it's just like, just because I'm making a joke about something doesn't mean I don't respect it, right? Like because I make joke about myself and I have a certain level of self-respect.
Sure.
I would hope so. Yeah.
So, I mean, it just,
There's like
it's weird because there's probably some line, but what is it? Because,
Right.
and granted, like we talk about, okay, maybe we don't make jokes about God and like sex, right? Like, cause those two things are like, you know what I mean? Or sinning or like God, like,
Maybe God
Make a
got
joke about-
super dark.
make a
sense
joke
of
about
humor.
God drinking or something, like because those are like taboo and it's like we can't combine them because it shows a lack of respect, but not like I don't think so. Like it's just I don't know. Jokes are just whatever, right? We're the ones that define these subjects as being taboo.
Well, it's like comedians get in trouble because certain populations get so offended that they can't take a joke that now all of a sudden they try to like cancel certain people. So it's like it's really like do we really think that God gets so offended by what we do that like all of a sudden now we like ruin the relationship because he's just like
I think that's our perception, right? Like we think we surprise God,
right.
right?
By the things that we say or think or do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like we don't.
Yeah.
yeah, off that, to be offended, there's probably a sense of surprise in that. Like they just said that. That upsets me.
But so
you can't do
agree.
that to God.
Sense of
So-
surprise and a sense of self-esteem and pride
Right.
is what you're offending.
And so I like to filter a lot of like questions like this. I like to filter it through like human relationships sometimes. So like, take your wife for example. You crack jokes all the time, but are there certain jokes where if you said it, it would be disrespectful or not funny anymore? Like
That's all contextual,
but
though.
I agree because
So you're in groups of people, though, because when I'm with, there are certain like couples that we hang out with. We can just make the dirtiest jokes, and it's so funny.
Well, and it can
Hilarious.
be dirty, it can be dark, but it's because when the person on
Or
the other
dark,
end of
yeah.
it like has such a strong sense of security and a trust in the relationship,
Yeah.
that it's like because I agree. I think the funniest comedy, like when you listen to like a Chappelle or people who like they literally take it too far, but it is so funny.
Oh, when he joked about the trans woman killing herself. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
No, I mean,
That wasn't the joke.
I didn't make the joke. No, but I'm just saying. No, she said like
and Luke's laughing.
no, but it wasn't.
I'm shocked.
No, but it wasn't.
This is the sense of shock right now.
It wasn't like. Well, the whole joke was just like she talks about her, and then like he represents her as like a good friend, and like
Right.
he like mentored her because she wanted to be a comedian. She wasn't very good. But like,
She's getting better.
She's
She
getting
was
better.
grinding. She was going
and
through
then
it.
he was like, at the end, it was unexpected. He's like, and then she killed herself. Like, I was like, okay. Like, and it was just on one of those, like, half people are laughing, half people are like, oh my gosh. Like, what did you just say?
But his whole point was the reason I say this.
Yeah.
Was that what you were about to say?
No, go ahead.
No, yeah.
No, go ahead. I don't remember what he said, so go ahead.
Oh, his whole point was like the only reason I say this is because I know if she was here, she would laugh at this.
She would have laughed at that
like
joke.
She would have been the first one laughing.
Right.
And it's like the whole thing about like even when you like say something that like a joke that might take it too far over the line and like and actually offend someone, then maybe that's like instead of seeing it, and this is just a thought experiment, instead of seeing it as I took that joke too far, maybe it's like, oh, what's like buried somewhere in there that's like toxic that like probably could, because like I think that's the best part about some comedy. It's like you can call out like the worst, darkest parts about life, and you're just like, yeah, we can like laugh about it, like, and it's because like I can look at it and own it, right? Like if I'm the butt of the joke, if no matter how dark it gets, if I can look at it and be like, yeah, he's maybe not wrong, or like there's something there, like I can like appreciate and like find humor in it. But I think like some people get like offended because they're just like, don't shine light on that part of like my life or the relationship because like maybe there's shame there, or maybe there's hurt there.
The line that people have a problem with is when like the jokes like come off as like belittling who God is.
Oh, like towards.
Yeah, specifically to God. Because I would like theoretically you would never make jokes like that to like I would never make a joke that belittles Sydney. Mm-hmm. And then ultimately what is maybe me and you laugh about it, but
so I guess
so like when,
like what kind of what
is
are you
the
thinking
joke
of, like,
worth it?
Like the what I guess what is a joke that would belittle God? Because I think that's also
like
a fun
that
concept.
robs like who God is, the impact of God. So like for example, I think about
So here, wonder if I should say any of these. Just so our listeners know,
Couch it?
This is just a
stand by.
This is a website. These are not my jokes. This is just for, again, thought experiment.
Here we go.
So we'll go through a
this
joke.
is going to be full of them.
We'll go through a joke. We'll say, is this? I don't know. Is this like
over the line?
Is this over the line? Yeah, that's a good way.
I already feel like it is.
I already feel
I like to start off by saying it is over the line.
All right.
I'm not affiliated whatsoever with this podcast.
Yeah, right.
So
The thoughts and
but it's
views
just
expressed.
you're gonna laugh at it. That's the thing. Like it's funny. Like it's just
You're hyping this up.
Yeah.
There better be laughs.
I'm going to try not to laugh.
how is God just like a regular man? If you're not on your knees, he's not interested.
I need to take a laugh. I think.
What is- all right.
Oh my god!
So that's
ready for that.
That's probably
I need a sub.
That's probably too much.
Gabby, sub me
That's
out.
probably too much. But
Why do you think it's too
what
much?
makes it too? That's what I want to discuss, right?
Because I think it's belittling who God is.
Well,
But okay,
but,
so the
but
question
God
is,
wants
can
you
God-
to like so
can God
the
take a joke?
pure side of that is it like God obviously wants us to respect and reverent and like
Yeah.
bow in prayer and in
Honor.
submission, like it's just an honor, it's a respect thing, and then but then it hide the joke, so that's the side of God it's highlighting, but the side of man it's highlighting is just our incessant need for sexual pleasure, and then we always like are making jokes about and want like sex and stuff, right? So it's almost like belittling man, you know what I mean, in a way, but like you could really see like, okay, not a joke that I would say at a party, but
I feel like that joke brings God down to the level of
okay,
belittling man,
I
which
see
I
that.
don't think is ever appropriate.
yeah, that's probably not.
Let's hit
You
another one.
guys are holding back. You guys are holding back.
I think there's
Are we
a-
trending
there's
up or trending down?
I'm gonna say there's a 1% chance that Heaven's chuckling a little. Because he made us.
Maybe.
And
Yeah,
see,
that's
the
what I
problem is
mean.
there's a little truth in that.
That's what I mean. I'm just like, okay.
I'm so out.
No, so
I'm out.
Well, that's why we have
I'll take-
different, and that's fine. Like God knows your heart. God knows our hearts. Like, okay,
got a high value for laugh.
This is not
Luke's
like,
house in heaven's going to be a little bigger because of this.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll come swim at your pool. How about that?
I can't say.
So not all these are specifically about God. Like,
the fact that you're passing over some, they're worse than the first.
no. I mean, the first one was I'm trying
Should've
to
brought our holy water.
I'm trying to step up here. I'm not trying to stay on that level. What does a Christmas tree and a priest have in common? Their balls are just for decoration. That's kind of funny. Because a lot of priests are abstinent, right?
I think that's great.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that was great.
Such a terrible life.
Yeah, gosh. Let's see.
Oh, that's funny.
If God sneezes when you meet him, what the hell do you say? Like, well, that's true. You don't say God bless. It's interesting. That wasn't
Maybe
bad.
say
That was
thank you.
pretty mild. That was
say
pretty
thank
mild.
you.
Thank you. It sneezes. Thank you.
you.
Well, God
Sneezing on
sneezed
me.
though.
That's like
Maybe he
Lithuanian.
wouldn't even sneeze.
We just touched on that.
Jesus would have sneezed though.
Achu. It means thank you in Lithuanian.
Wow.
Full circle.
Got it
from
covered.
The last pod.
Got it covered.
Love it.
If you guys are tuned in, you get that reference.
Some of these are like don't forget, if you never sin, Jesus died for nothing.
Okay, so that's an interesting concept. 2,000 years later, you think Jesus can laugh about it?
Well, it's literally not possible though
Yeah. What?
for someone to live without sinning.
No, I know. I'm just. I think it's just.
That is funny. Though.
It's the whole theory is funny about it.
Let's say you got to go on a good streak. You're like 6 months.
So
no
sin.
shot. You can last 6
and,
months.
And God is just like, man,
Could've
I
last
feel
6
so
minutes.
useless.
bro, we couldn't last an hour without sinning.
I could totally go an hour without sinning.
I don't know. I feel like your head has all kinds of thoughts in there. Your thoughts could.
And we're just taken captive.
Okay.
Lock yourself in a room.
Sensory
That's what you do.
deprivation.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a
you just let it all
solitary
out.
confinement.
I mean, you probably sin while you're sleeping. Honestly, it's probably your dreams aren't always wholesome. I bet.
Thoughts aren't sin.
That's an interesting
We can get after
conversation.
it.
I don't think you can sin while you're unconscious.
Really?
Your thoughts
I don't
can't
think
be
it's possible.
Sin. Your
I
thoughts
think-
lead to sin.
I think
Even if you having like
sin
a
has to be
dream where
intentional.
you're cheating on your wife or something, that's not sinful. I've always wondered that. So you telling me I got to pass?
I think so. You're not making that choice.
He's going to bed.
Christina
I mean,
listens.
please, Lord,
Christina
please.
listens to these. It's
Someone-
fine.
I mean,
I'm
someone
fine.
else-
She would-
Someone else is to blame for that. You're knocked out.
that's true. Hey,
Well,
fine.
it's
Good
like,
to know.
but I guess the question would be did sin lead you to have those thoughts?
That's interesting.
Yeah, you could probably dive a little deeper there.
I don't know. Because I mean, I don't. I've had thoughts where I've almost done it, but it's just like literally don't know the person.
Thoughts
like
or
literally
dreams?
don't dreams. That's dreams.
Good clarifying there.
That's better.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've had dreams where. No, and I've told Christina. I've told Christina.
real quick.
I've told Christina about them. You know, where I'm just like, yeah, just. But it's funny. Like she'll have a dream that I cheated on her. She wakes up like pissed at me.
Right.
I'm just like, literally didn't happen. Like, what are you? I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
that's real. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Dreams feel real sometimes.
They do.
Dreams are a weird thing.
So bacon proves God has a sense of humor. He invents it with the greatest meat in the world, and then bans his chosen people from eating it. That's pretty innocent.
That is funny.
Oh man.
But I guess like an overarching kind of like thought too with this whole concept is like
One more.
There's so much. Okay,
Hold that thought. And don't active listen.
This one's this one's
on the
okay.
couch. I'll go to couch C.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sorry. And this isn't too bad. If God really made everything, he's Chinese, right? It's kinda- I don't know. I didn't mind
They
that
do
one.
be making things.
Oh, okay. Anyway, go ahead.
I have no idea what I was on the couch for.
Nice.
Yeah. He's too busy acting.
Yeah, I guess
Switch couches.
So the whole point to kind of try to an attempt to wrangle and make it semi-serious is just there's a massive slant in Scripture towards like childlikeness and just this. And when I think of childlikeness, it's like the experience of a child, like primarily an emotional experience. Right. So it's like we try to boil it down and make it so serious all the time. But like kids have no interest in being serious about many things unless something's going wrong. Like there is something about just like the joy and just like the lightness of just having this like beautiful relationship where it's not so detrimental or it's not so. And I think it's just it's a challenging tightrope to walk because it's like, okay, so the belief system says that eternity is hanging in the balance, but it's like my day-to-day life is meant to be really childlike. And Jesus even says, like, until you become like these children, you'll never enter or see the kingdom of God. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's something about just... but
I would say that there's a line between enjoyment and joy and, like, good things versus, like, blatant disrespect. Like, if you're a child, if you were a father, it'd be the same thing, right? They can...
Like if your kid roasts you, you're saying?
Yeah, but roast is, like, good humor roast. I'm talking like use your name and step on it and walk all and disrespect and not honor you whatsoever.
Yeah, and I'm not advocating for that. I guess I'm saying
that's what I'm saying. There's a difference between funny and like, okay, you're literally blaspheming.
I guess I'm only coming from the place of I feel like largely, I guess I can only say my experience with God was largely much more serious than it was playful and childlike.
I think that's a totally different conversation.
And I guess that's where I'm really trying to get at.
Right.
Is that like we joke about it, we say these funny things, and we talk about God having a sense of humor, but it's all about like the relationship. It's like, I don't want to have a relationship with somebody if there's not a playful, funny aspect. And I feel like that's something that we don't do good.
Yeah.
Either explaining or talking about or applying somewhere in the process. Like our favorite relationships in life tend to bring a lot of laughter. And it's like, I think that is meant to be like a staple of our relationship with God. I just feel like it's, for most people, it's missing. Or it's just not really a foundational piece of it. And I think it really should be the one of the most important pillars. Just a genuine joy, enjoying each other. Because it's like, why is it so hard for most people to just shut everything off and get away and have quiet time or go just read their Bible or go just be with God? It's because there's not joy in the relationship.
Sure.
Like they're going places where they're getting some sense of whether it's joy, fulfillment, entertainment, whatever. Like it's like... And maybe we've kind of screwed ourselves with screens and kind of the culture we've created where everyone is essentially like we're all ADHD at this point.
Yeah.
It's not even like some people have it. It's like we're all just obsessed with screens because it's just there's so many opportunities to just be constantly stimulated.
On that note about joy, it's tough because I feel like with a lot of this stuff, like how you're taught what to do, what to say, what to believe. Joy is one of those things where it's almost represented as something we're just expected to have. And so people try to force themselves to have joy or ask God to give them joy.
Or they'll just fake it.
Yeah, or they'll fake it.
That's interesting.
So it's like, but we've talked about before, it's just these forced behaviors don't work.
Right.
You know, like forcing people to give money doesn't make them generous, right? It's the same kind of thing.
Eventually the chickens come home to roost.
What?
I think that's the saying, right? I've never really understood it, but I think that's what they say.
I get it.
It comes back. You're saying it comes back to them? Is that what you're... Yeah.
Yeah, eventually they got to deal with their stuff.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting point.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of the stuff... Yeah, but I will say, you know, to revisit that... I would never say that, like the joke that I started this with, I would never say that. I would never say that in like any kind of really context. So it's just funny that, I don't know, like, and I went to the extreme just so we could kind of prove the point.
I chuckled.
Yeah. You liked it.
There are some other ones here that are pretty funny. I don't know. Did anyone else have a point that was be serious at all first? Anyone else has to say anything serious?
Maybe there's a question too. It's like, how do we, if we don't derive a bunch of joy or laughter, or like, because it says like a joyful, cheerful heart is good for body and soul. Like, what do you even do? How do you go about kind of culminating that in your relationship with God? Like, what does that even look like?
That's a good question.
That's probably where people experience a lot of like, like things like, oh, well, you just need to pray more. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I think it's
Toxic
like
responses like that, where they walk away like, okay, so I'm not doing this right.
right,
I think
or it's like go to the scriptures. It's like, I don't
need to
know,
surrender
the
better.
joyful
Stuff like
aspect. I feel like you can find comedy in scriptures. Like, sure, like Jesus sending the disciples out into a boat that's about to encounter a hurricane is pretty hilarious.
I think
Like, that's a nice prank. I've never sent my friends out on a boat to literally like run into a hurricane, knowing that I was gonna go like save them.
That is
but
funny.
after they poop themselves, like that's like he's.
and then I'm
kinda
just
have to have
gonna
a sense of humor.
chill and take a nap.
and I'm gonna watch.
yeah, I'm just.
He was on a mountain watching it happen. He was just like,
Yeah.
those idiots. Like, as they're about to die, they're just freaking out.
You're talking about
and
when-
then he just takes a stroll across the lake.
Yeah, yeah. Because at one point wasn't he on the boat and he was sleeping?
Also happened.
That was a different thing.
It was.
That was just that's so funny. Yeah.
Sea of Galilee was a little fickle.
But then
Yeah.
also people talk
She's a
about
dirty girl.
people talk about God's sense of humor in the Old Testament, and it was vicious. Like it was more of like an irony type of humor, to where it's like someone did something and they just died. Or like
Think
someone
about, like, was it Isaiah and the prophets of Baal? Like, when they were trying to get the sacrifice to get like caught on fire, and those guys were like 70 of them were just out, just like cutting their skins open.
Well,
Yeah.
think
and just
about
dancing,
the
and guys
whole,
just like those morons.
the whole book of Exodus. God, every type of what's the word I'm looking for?
intervention.
Yeah, well, like frogs, locusts,
the-
every type
the
of
plagues,
plague
yeah.
directly combated a belief system that the Egyptians had. Did you know that? Like the frogs one, they worshipped like the
There's a
god
frog
of
god?
something. So everything that they worshiped, God used it.
he was just mocking them.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm the one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sense of humor.
Well, the
I'm
fact
saying,
that
that's
he-
a dark sense of humor, because he ended with killing
it's like
children.
let me show you what's up.
Yeah.
The firstborn. You've gone, bro.
Well, you can only be funny to a certain degree,
you
and
the
then
firstborn?
and it's time to be serious.
No.
You're safe. You're dead.
Well,
You're still here.
Let's go.
I don't know. How does that work though? Because I have a half sister and she's older than me.
I think the males
both
get
dead.
it for sure. Yeah,
Oh, the
gray area.
first
Yeah,
male?
yeah, both.
Yeah, both get whacked. All right. But like
it
the
simple.
other thing, like the Israelites in the desert for 40 years, like that. How close was Canaan? It was pretty close.
I think it was like
it was
a-
like a 10-day journey or something
Not
like that.
even.
Yeah. And so they were there for 40 years lost. It's just like,
walking in circles.
That's
and the funny
hilarious.
part is he gave them like the cloud by day and fire by night to lead them in circles for 40 days.
40 years.
40 years, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, because there were people that started that journey that weren't alive by the
Jehovah
time.
be clowning.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you're here 2,000 years later, we would just simply give you GPS, but
Yeah.
because we're not.
Here's a dad joke. What does God call his nose? God knows.
Yeah, that qualifies.
So when I was a kid, I used to pray every night for a new bike. Then I realized the Lord doesn't work that way. So I stole one and asked him forgive me.
I like that one. I like
That's
that
funny.
one.
Did you miss that one, Luke?
I missed it.
Okay. Let me reread it.
Sure.
When I was a kid, I used to pray every
back on
night
the
for a new
sketch.
bike until I realized the Lord doesn't work that way. So I stole one and asked him to forgive me.
Classic.
That's pretty funny.
That's great.
So, this one was hilarious. It's a bit sexist, but
Wouldn't have started that way myself, but love it.
yeah. So, it was like, why did God create man before women?
Oh boy, here we go.
Because he didn't want input.
But God, okay, so does God not have a gender?
Well, God's not a human; he's a spirit.
So Jesus has a gender.
had a gender. People talk about the Holy Spirit being feminine.
So how does God make us in His image
I've never
if He's
heard that.
not?
I've never heard that either.
You never heard of that?
No.
He's referenced as a he
He's the helper.
throughout the entire Bible.
Because the Holy Spirit, Parakletos, it literally translates in the Greek as helper. And then when God created Adam, it's not good for man to be alone. I need to create for him a helper.
Well, what's interesting is when you start thinking about if we're made in the image of God, male and female, created in the image of God. So there's different aspects about, obviously it's not physical.
Well, technically he made Adam, and it was like out of Adam he made Eve.
Yeah, but every human's made in the image of God.
It's fair.
So, but I guess my point is like, we don't resemble God physically. So there's aspects of a male and a female.
So God doesn't look like a human?
No.
I think most people think that God looks like a human.
Well, outside of Jesus, he's not a human.
Yeah, no,
He
I
put
agree
on
with
flesh,
you.
came down to earth.
I
So-
agree with you.
Well, I just remember when I learned that, like, you go through your life and you're like, you're made in the image of God. And you're like thinking, so does he look like us?
Most people probably would think that, though.
But it really dives into like the soul level of, there are parts. That's why when a man and a woman come together, the two become one. It gets deeper than, it's probably a separate pod.
I know there's a lot of people that do believe that it's the Holy Spirit is representative of kind of like a feminine type.
It's the feminine archetype.
Well, and there's also
it's the nurturing-
Probably whole denominations.
used for
that's probably
for
like
spirit in Hebrew and Aramaic. So in Aramaic, also the language generally considered to have been spoken by Jesus. The word is feminine.
Because God the Father
So-
himself embodies a lot, especially if you look
But
at
that's
Old
the thing-
Testament.
that's the thing.
embodies
I
a
don't-
lot more
I
of
don't
the
know-
masculine archetype.
Yeah, but I don't.
But there's both, is my point.
Well,
But that's
would
the
be
thing.
balance.
I think-
yeah.
Well, I'm kind of on that page where I think gender is kind of how we understand it because it's how we exist. But I think God encompasses both. Like
Right.
Masculine and feminine.
Yeah, Jesus just
archetypes.
happened to be
Yeah,
male
yeah.
because that's probably what would have been most respected at the time or whatever, right?
Well,
Like,
and even look at
but
like,
it's just like I don't know that
Yeah.
you can't
Both.
assign God a gender. Yeah.
well,
Yeah, yeah.
the part of the challenge too is we live in a
Well,
world.
it's like Spanish.
so what
I'm
happens?
sorry, I keep interrupting.
So what
you.
happens when we go to heaven? Are we it?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Well, we're
I
not
think
going to
we
have
just-
we're not going to have a need to reproduce. So
God's like, huh? You don't need that anymore. Whoosh.
Well, you do have a new body. It's a whole different
I'm
pod.
just gonna hot take. I want my Johnson in heaven. I don't know. I'm keeping it. Like you gave it to me.
I'm not touching that one.
I don't know.
I don't know if we have enough information to make that determination.
You'll have no
That's
need
what happens
for
when
it.
you get an all
You have
boys
no
pod.
need for it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
I'm glad Gabby's not here.
You
right
just
now.
want it there. You just kind of just
It just feel
hanging
weird
out.
without it. Would it?
I guess.
I don't think anything's
For
going to feel
all of eternity?
weird.
Yeah, but I think your spiritual body would feel different anyway, right?
I heard a
So-
cool explanation.
Yeah,
It was
dude.
saying the one became two for the joy of becoming one again. In terms of like singularity and duality.
Oh,
into the
so
world
at
we
one
live in
point
now
we will
and
be
kind of our existence, and then you go
Yeah.
back to like singularity where you understand everything, and you just see, the galaxies.
So
and whatnot.
what you're saying is like there will be no gender, like
Who knows? I think actually that was probably the most profound thing that Bill said. Bill Johnson said in his sermon just days after his wife passed of cancer, and like he leads Bethel, who is a church that's known for like miracles and healings and supernatural stuff, right? And so it's a crazy reality where it's like he leads this organization where it's like they are known worldwide for miraculous like things and healings and stuff. So how do you square that circle? And one of the things he said that really hit me was like, if you believe the scriptures for all of eternity, we'll be worshiping. And whatever that looks like, who knows? Because worship isn't just on your knees in front of an altar. Worship is life. It's how you spend your time and energy. But he was basically saying that, like, for all of eternity, we're going to know, like, we're going to go back to singularity and we're going to know what's actually real. Like, this is the only time that we live where we have this duality of, like, we live separate from, like, this infinite knowledge of, like, how everything really happened. And we choose faith. Or we choose whatever. We choose while we're here. What he was saying is, like, something that even the angels can't give God is broken worship, where it's like in the midst of like pain, because like Bible says, like once we get to heaven, like there's no more pain, there's no more sorrow, there's no more sadness, there's no separation. So it's like to be able to give worship here amidst pain is something that we will only ever be able to give him on this side of eternity. And we'll never be able to worship him in pain or through pain and really choose joy like once we're there, because we're going to see it all and
Right.
the pain and the hurt's going to be gone.
That's cool.
So it's like the beautiful invitation of this life is to be able to, amidst pain, give worship and praise when, you know, your eyes would see something much darker. And it's like this, you know, he talks about how there's certain faces of God that you only get to see in the valley of the shadow of death, right? There's only certain revelations of God that you get when you go through the hard stuff. And so, you know, and I think the final thing that stuck with me is he talked about, and this one really hit me too, because he basically said you can only go to places of friendship with God that you've already been in lordship with him. Where it's like, I for sure, that one convicted me a lot, because it's like, I love this idea and concept of like being a friend of God, being close to God, having intimacy with the Creator. But he talked about how, and I don't, this is his conviction. This is something I'm still working through. But, and I'm sure, you know, the dude's brilliant, so I'm sure he's got a great reason for thinking it. But he basically talked, you know, you can only go to levels of friendship and intimacy with God that you've already been to in lordship with him, in a sense of just absolute submission. Where like for me, I'm still trying to hold on to like my logic, my reasoning.
Right.
I'm trying to see it and make sense of it all.
I've been taught that the statement is he's either Lord of all or not Lord at all.
Yeah.
Similar concept.
Yeah, it's the concept of like you get like your level of revelation is probably equal to the amount of mystery you're willing to deal with. So for him, like if I want deeper levels of revelation of God and how this all works, I have to be willing to go to deeper levels of mystery in sense of like, why didn't my wife get healed? When I see people left and right every day get healed of this same sickness,
Yeah.
why does she not get it? And so it's like you have to have that compartmentalization with God, where it's like,
Or you just have to choose to believe that that the kingdom or whatever is going to be more further advanced through her suffering and no healing than had she been healed.
Or that her void on earth was she did her job, right?
well, and yeah, it's the whole, you know, the verses that talk about we don't like, you know, we don't sorrow like the world sorrows because we have hope, right? So it's like you said, there's just this deep faith and hope that ultimately like good will come of this somehow.
Yeah. That's tough.
Which I think it is just the best foundation for a belief system in a higher power, for sure. Like it's so sad to think that like nothing matters, and
I don't know how people operate
yeah.
otherwise.
Some of the stuff you were saying earlier is just like, I just don't know where he comes up with this stuff. It's crazy. Dude is just so smart.
Bill?
Yeah.
Dude. But that's why, like, dude, you listen to someone, you look at their life and their ministry, and it's like, it's no wonder that this guy has been incredibly successful, because you're just like, you look at it and you're like, days after losing the most important person to you, like you're up here leading people spiritually, like that is a guy that like I would follow.
Yeah.
That is like this belief system is like so deeply ingrained in him and his psyche that like there is no default. Like,
Right.
the worst thing in life that could ever happen to you happens to you, and then you get on stage and you proclaim what you believe to be true, regardless of what physical circumstances just literally happened days ago.
That's huge.
It's crazy.
And he's known for starting his sermons with jokes, and he gets up to start the sermon and he's like, yeah, I got no jokes for you today. Just couldn't find it within me to do it. And then people like laugh. Like there's still like this ability to. Yeah, it's incredible. It's really inspirational.
Wow. No, that's cool. We're about there.
Talk about a real life
Time.
application of what we've been listening to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I still think we should spend a couple minutes. Like, what can you actually do to actually work and find more joy in your relationship or childlikeness?
Well, I was gonna say something, but I was active listening and forgot it. So
Look at you.
back to that.
Great
Growing.
job.
You know,
That's worth celebrating. Really well
do.
done.
Bidding.
personally, and I've heard this, you know, in sermons and stuff before, people talk about it. But like for me, it's like joy starts from perspective. So if I feel like I've got it the hardest, I've got like my life sucks or this or that, I mean, I have reasons to be depressed, like it's going to feel depressing. But that moment that I can experience gratitude for anything, and people talk about like, oh, you know, Eric said in the morning, he talks about, he just finds things to be thankful for.
Yeah.
And it's just, as soon as you start to realize the vast number of things that are going right in your life and that you have and that you like whatever it is, right? I mean, we could all name tons. That starts to cultivate, I feel like, that environment that joy can live in. So
Yeah.
that's for me.
8 a.m. priming sessions? What?
Come on.
Should we start screaming again like Scottish warriors?
Luke's never experienced that.
Dude.
I don't even think I've shown him the video. Like, he's never even seen other people do
We
it.
should prime tomorrow.
Yeah, we get kicked out of this building for sure.
We'll go outside and
We'd have
scream.
to go early.
You have to be like
Sounds like a
6 a.m.,
party.
6:30 before
I
Susan,
immediately
before
started
Susan
thinking
gets
about
here.
Braveheart when you said that.
That's the
It's
music.
pretty much like that.
Okay.
It's literally I think it's the soundtrack.
It's the music,
Braveheart
yeah.
when it
And then it's like,
transitions to that
release a
part.
primal scream from the depths of your soul, like a warrior running into battle, and you're just literally standing in a room, just all together. It's
Okay, great.
magical.
Luke's nervous. Luke is
I
so
just remember
nervous.
us at the old office. We would go into the
church.
the
The
church's room, and then we would just be in there screaming
That's
at
funny.
like 7:30, 8 a.m.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I need
but
to
for
see
some
that.
people,
Understand.
that's not that may not be for everybody. But like just the moments that you
JJ especially loved it.
anything, I was fun. But anything like
I'm down. To
anything
give it a
that
That was
shot.
before like bulk JJ. JJ may like it now more.
let out more
Got
of
that
a growl.
testosterone in your body, bro.
That growl's gonna be a little deeper.
It's about to be girthy.
That's funny. Okay, I'm not gonna say it.
Wow.
Set you up.
Man, I have so much
Self-control.
restraint today. No, but like just even in the quiet, like in your car or whatever. Like, I mean, just when you're not around, when you would normally like throw on some useless like podcast or music or whatever, just really just sitting there. It doesn't even, even if like someone's listening here, like they don't know where they stand spiritually. It's like you don't even have to thank God. You can just mumble to yourself all the things that you can be grateful for. Like, and that like slowly like changes perspective. And I've tried to do that in my life. I mean, I forget a lot, I get busy and forget to do stuff like that, but it's
So you
just
did it
little
once?
simple things. No, I've done it. No, cause I used to have morning routine, where I would do a lot of that.
Well, because it's what
I do it once in a while.
Yeah, the whole concept of this, you can't be grateful and fearful at the same time, right? So as you take in those reflections and emotions, you can't at the same physical time be concerned or worried about anything else when you're in that grateful, joyful state of being. So, and then I think it's just acknowledging that, like literally, you can go as far back as like, okay, I'm grateful for the air I breathe. Like, I mean, a lot of times, even our circumstances can be imperfect or not good, or maybe nothing in our physical life is going the way we think it should.
Like I
You
could
have
have
to- you have
slept
to,
on
like-
dirt last night.
Yeah, right. I mean, you have to just go back far enough so it's like, okay,
You can always go back further. And that's one of the things you can almost say that joy is circumstantial for everybody. It's just how far are you willing to recognize like how good your situation is?
well, I mean, it's that old theory that like the wishes of a healthy man are many, but the wishes of a sick man are single or one.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you have so much to be grateful for.
Yeah, a lot of times it just for a lot of people it just takes that like really bad life situation to force their perspective into the right place.
I'm watching a show on Hulu called Alone.
But I think so. Can I say something? Before you get
Put a pin in that.
Get back
I'll be on the couch.
Well,
Y'all need me.
I was just thinking about what you said earlier about how to like create patterns of more whatever, and thinking about like, we've just been indoctrinated when we go through difficult times to go to the Lord,
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
but the opposite is not true.
Yeah. That's a good
Like
point.
when we go through great times, it has not been. We celebrate, we throw a party, we go out to eat.
No.
The immediate response is not give thanks to God. I mean, it's not. I've just never experienced that, right?
Unless the
So-
experience is so profound and life changing that people like fall to their knees and cry or something. Like that's
maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm
that's-
just saying the conditioning that we've experienced growing up and through our faith walk and experience has always been like, yeah, when you're at difficult times, you have no option
You're
but
right.
to go to God.
Yeah.
Right?
In a way, we're almost like celebrating ourselves because it's like without even acknowledging it, we're like, yay, me. Look what we did. We made it through. And it's like not involving God in that. And I think I love the thought that's like to learn first requires unlearning.
Yeah.
It's like you really need to become aware of like what thoughts and things that you're holding on to and belief systems that are like not serving you, but also maybe have come from broken people that I went through hard things or whatever. And it's that mental inventory of really getting real with yourself and knowing and wrestling. Like that's why, like, you look at like all these Bible figures and it's like none of these were perfect people. In fact, most of them were really jacked up people that did messed up things. And it's like, but they all had this wrestling experience with God where they had to just really fight through some difficult realities, but they landed on the right side. So,
to your point, Rich Wilkerson Jr. is a church in Miami.
Boo.
He like.
Do you know where that comes from, by the way?
No.
Rendezvous. They wanted to call it Rendezvous Church. So it's like, let's rendezvous. It's like,
I like that.
so they just stuck with Vu.
But one of their like principles is like celebrate often, which is kind of cool. It's like that. Whenever you have a chance.
I always
celebrate.
love Greg's tagline with the one big party is the world parties to forget, but we party to remember. I thought that was such a cool.
That is cool. Like celebrating the little things all the time.
And we've done podcasts on this, but it's just like, you wish you did see that more where it's like Sunday mornings, it's like it's less about a pastor sharing his heart and more about just the community celebrating. And it's like, sure, there's some times where we need messages and there's certain times where leaders need to corral the people and get us moving in a similar direction. But it's like when that's only all we ever do and we don't do good at corporate celebrating or corporate partying type of stuff.
And it sucks, yeah,
It's
because
hard.
there's a lot of pastors that would say that the message is the most important thing about Sundays.
Well, and look at like the Old Testament, bro. They would have like whole weeks where they would just like, it's the week of Jubilee, or they had all these like celebratory weeks where it's just like, we don't do nothing except party this week. And it's like,
yeah, but in the middle, you have to have that 30-minute sermon, right? Just like at those concerts, where it's just like, hey, we got to have this
raise
sermon
your
now.
hand if you want to sponsor a child.
Yeah,
You're
right.
just like, oh man, now I just feel like the worst trash human in the world. I came here to have a good night of music and worship, and now I'm just like, I either got to sponsor a kid or feel like the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
Sorry, that took a turn.
No, and it's bad, but it's just like sometimes I'm like, okay, I get like that need exists for sure, and I think that's important that the awareness is out there and stuff. But
And we
I'd
should
rather
be
do that in
sponsoring
a
kids.
different. I'd rather do that in a different forum. Like, all right, can I just pay a little more and you don't have these guys come up like and do their thing? Like, it's just like I don't know,
You
and I
feel
know they don't do it for
terrible.
money, but I'm just like.
No, that really stems from.
I don't like like when Stephen Furtick came up and did his little message, or his wife, or they both talked during the elevation thing. I was just kind of like, yeah, I kind of don't want to listen to you right now. Like, I was just like, because you kind of break up this like beautiful corporate worship moment for just so like he can talk about how he was involved in like starting, a lot of this music stuff. And like, it was really just kind of like,
Yeah.
I was really like, I don't know what you call it, like self-promotion almost. I was just like, dude, like, what are we doing? Like, can you just let the band play? Like,
Yeah, that's tricky. Yeah, no. So that whole comment probably came from a little shred of shame in my life. I remember one time I was at like, I forget where we were, but I was just like, the conviction was strong, and like I raised my hand to get one of those pamphlets for the kids, and then I didn't like ultimately end up following through. Like, it just whatever, and then I was just like, dude, did I just screw this kid for the rest of his life? And now, like,
if he's still alive,
no one's ever
Justin.
going to sponsor this kid now.
Wow.
Like, I felt so bad.
well,
dude.
because that's like, because they don't have like duplicates of those, right? They only have one per kid. Do they?
So what they tell you.
Do they have a
is
database?
that evening, yes. That evening they only have one paper per kid, but if you don't, yeah,
They're
if you
still
don't
in
end
queue
up-
though.
Yeah, right.
If you don't
right.
sign up, okay.
Weight off the shoulders.
Freedom.
Man, we should have let him.
I just screwed this kid. Like,
We should have let him sweat a little longer on that one.
Die somewhere alone and horribly.
That's
'Cause
my
I
first
just,
thought.
like-
I'm just like, he's probably dead, Justin.
If I just wouldn't have been such a selfish POS, maybe he'd be at some nice university somewhere.
He just didn't get his 3 bowls of rice for another couple weeks.
Justin,
yeah. I'm working on it, guys. Hey, open and honest.
that's funny. Luke, you were talking about a TV show
Yeah.
before Nathan cut your head off.
Yeah.
You stuck your neck out, and Nathan.
You
just
can
cut
come
your
back
head
off the couch now.
No, but it's a show called Alone, and it's like like 10 survival experts are granted 10 items they can bring, and they go. This season, the location is Vancouver Island, which is in like the super west coast of Canada, and they see how long they can survive with no, like, complete isolation. One of those shows, and they're responsible for recording it all. So they're given like 40 pounds of camera equipment, and these survival experts go, and whoever's the last man standing wins like $500,000. And so it's interesting because, like, the psychology behind it is mind-boggling. They, after like right now, there's only 4 dudes left, and they're 25 days in, and they like several times have broken down in like puddles of tears, grown like burly countrymen. You know what I mean? Like they fit that description. They bootstrap kind of dudes, and they are literally like, I've never been this alone, like free from distraction. They literally are in the woods with nothing. Dude. And I'm like, Justin would love this, but they're talking. He's talking like, the only thing I care about now is like the people I love. And he's talking to the camera that he's by himself in this tent that he made, and he's like, I even wonder if they know how much I love them. None of this even matters except for, like, it's like insane where they get mentally, mostly because we can go our whole lives in the world that we live in distracted. And the second that you have to face, like, one of the guys was talking through some like childhood trauma that he never addressed because he could just distract himself. It was pretty nuts. Dang. It's like a whole, I guess in like, I was saying that to echo off of Nate's point that we're not like indoctrinated to praise God for like the things you have, or when things are good, only when things are bad. And it, like, you could see that come out of people like, man, there's so much good I have that I don't even realize. And what really matters, it's a lot. It's pretty cool. You should watch it.
We need to go.
Because it's also super entertaining.
I want to live it. We need to go out to the woods for a week.
There's like bears and stuff that people
tell the ladies.
One guy was 10 feet from a bear's den. He had to call the emergency. He's like, pick me up. It's pretty nuts.
Wow. Sounds crazy.
Not a big camper, but I'm down to just get off the grid for a little while.
10 items. Go figure it out.
10 items? You can like, pick your items? Mm-hmm. RV.
No, not like that.
Okay.
there's like a rule.
Does like a shirt count as an item?
No.
An Uber Eats account.
But you can't have a gun either.
Yeah. A phone.
Uber Eats does not deliver there.
I think we should bring guns.
Oh, you can't have a gun?
No.
That'd probably be a liability if people got
They have weapons though. They have like an
Yeah.
axe and saw, and
Wow.
someone has a bow and arrow.
That's cool.
One guy carved a canoe out of trees, and is a functional canoe that
What's he even doing with it?
Swimming to an island to get like mussels or sailing, coming back.
Why would he swim if he has a canoe?
I didn't mean swim.
Oh.
Using the canoe. If he swam, he would die. The water's like 37 degrees.
That's insane.
Dude. Yeah, maybe I will check it out.
I will forward it.
You should sign up and do it.
It's nuts.
I wouldn't make it very far.
My thought
current
was,
phase.
I don't know anything about survival like they do, but like, it would be a cool, totally more like liability. But like, what if it was 10 average dudes who know nothing about survival,
like Survivor,
and who lives the longest? Like the 4 of us. I mean, I don't know.
Guy shows up in a Rams jersey.
Yeah.
Just like in jeans.
He gets
like,
10
hey.
items. It's like he used one for like a bag of chips.
I would die.
Yeah, like Bud Light.
Yeah, he's like, well, I hope.
Yeah.
I hope
10
it lasts
items,
through the
I'll
night.
take 10 cases of Busch Latte. And we're just going to ride this party out till it stops.
Like, these dudes have a system on day 25 where they can just live there for as long as they want. They have a food system. They have a water system. They have shelter. It's just a matter of how long can you handle the isolation.
Eventually, yeah.
The fresh
could
water
never
would
get-
be crazy. Like
It's
just
nuts.
having to find fresh water.
And you only have 3 days to do it. You're dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, we're way past time actually.
I need to use the normal boys' room, not the little boys. 'Cause it feels creepy.
We established that in the last pod. Appreciate
I'm
that.
gonna use the normal boys' room.
Appreciate that. Anyway, everyone,
Well-
thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, and go on all our social channels and stuff that we have profiles on. Just look for us. Religiously Offensive Podcast. Appreciate you. Au revoir.
That would be good.
Au revoir.